Welcome back to the Bandwidth Tapes. I'm Brad Williams. Today's guest is Steve Gadd, and even saying that out loud just feels a little bit unreal. Steve's playing has been a part of the soundtrack of my life, so getting the chance to sit down and talk with him was a real honor. We talk about what his 2026 looks like, from playing the Love Rocks benefit in New York, to tours and rehearsals with Paul Simon, James Taylor, and more. We also talk about his early years in the Army Field Band, and how that experience shaped his reading, discipline, and approach to the work. Steve also shares some really thoughtful perspective on mentorship, confidence, and even imposter syndrome. And then we go deep on something that musicians feel in their bones: dynamics and volume. What happens when things get too loud, why wedges still matter to him, and how the best nights are the ones where the music can actually breathe. This one's special, so let's get into it. Here's my conversation with Steve Gadd. Steve, it's an honor and a pleasure to welcome you to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I've really been looking forward to this, and I just appreciate you taking some time to hang out and chat with me. How is your 2026 so far?
Yeah, it's okay. So far so good. How
Good.
about you?
Yeah, it's good. We were just catching up. I'm dealing with the some winter weather here in St. Louis. We had some snow over the weekend, which was made things a little treacherous on the roads. But other than that, things are good, man. We're good. Everyone's doing well in my household, and it's good. So yeah. Have
That's
you uh,
good.
have you been have you played any so far this year, or have you had some time off?
No, I've had time off. I do some recording at home, so I've done a little bit of that. And we go to there's a band here called the Santa Fe Horns, Fat City Horns.
Okay.
And it's Jerry Lopez is a guitar player and singer. He and his brother. It's a great band. I go, hear them when they play, and sometimes sit in and play a song. So, but I haven't really been working. I started up at the end of February.
What's on your calendar this year? Who are you playing with this year?
I start up in February. We go to New York, and I play this benefit. It's called Love Rocks, and it's a charity that collects money and feeds people that are ill that can't get out and feed themselves. So
Yeah.
we've been doing that. This is the 10th year,
Oh, that's awesome.
and so I do that, and then after that, I go to Europe and do a tour with this Michael Blicher and Dan Hemmer, two guys from Denmark, and that I've been playing with for, actually almost 10 years also. And we're going to, do about a 3-week tour in Europe. Then I come back to New York and go into rehearsals with Paul Simon, and then we go out and do a tour, I think in Europe, and till the end of May or the middle of May, and then I start rehearsal in June with James Taylor. Go out and do the summer and fall with James, and then in November I hook up with Simon Oslender and this band with Will Lee that from Germany. So we'll do a tour in Germany. So, once I start, I'm out there for a while.
You're busy and
Yeah,
playing with a lot of people, man. That's so exciting and I would imagine that even in your career, that variety has to be a wonderful thing to get to play with so many different people, playing different styles of music, and has to keep it nice and fresh for you.
yeah, it's very enjoyable, and I consider myself very fortunate.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I reached out to you because, as you mentioned, Simon had reminded me. I just had the pleasure of chatting with him uh, just a few days ago, and we talked about his career and this project that you have been doing with him. And I tell you, man, I first of all, I love Simon. He just seems to be like one of the sweetest people on the planet, and he's a wonderful player. And I just get the sense that you have a lot of joy getting to play music with him. You two seem to
I
really
do.
connect.
He's a really talented guy, young man, and he's a great player. He's a good writer. And he's a good person. I know I've met his dad. I've met his parents, but I spent a little bit of time with his dad, who picked me up from an airport and drove me into the city. And just really nice people. And they did a great job. His parents did a great job bringing him up because he's a really good guy,
Yeah.
and I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart, and I told him when we were talking that there's some great videos of you all playing, and I said I Steve looks as happy playing with you as anyone I've ever seen him playing with. Man, he's just smiling the whole time. It fills me with joy watching you guys play.
It's a lot of fun. It's
Yeah,
and I mean, he put the thing together. He's young too. He's in his
he's
20s.
27, I think. Yeah, unbelievable.
I mean, yeah. So to be that mature at that young age, I mean, and it's the road's not easy, but I am musically and personnel wise, they put a nice thing together, and I'm really happy and proud to be a part of it.
Well, and I told him, I said it has to take a lot of guts on your part to bring on names like Steve and Will in your band. And he's like, well, it's something that I was certainly nervous about when we first started. And I'm like, well, you would never know it watching you guys play. You all act like you've been playing together for 30 years. It's incredible.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's it's a good thing, man. His writing is good, and I think that we all have is we all enjoy it. We all share the joy and happiness and fun
Yeah.
on the bandstand.
Yeah. Have you seen any videos or heard him play drums? He's a heck of a good drummer too. I'm like, what's up, man?
Well, I heard the demos that we did for the recording, and with him, he played everything on them, and it was unbelievable. It
Yeah.
was fantastic.
Amazing. Incredible. I recently had Russell Hartenberger on the podcast and learned that I did not realize that you, him, and Bob Becker were all three playing in different military bands at the same time.
Yeah, where was I was in the Army Field Band. Where was Bob Becker?
I think Bob was, if I'm not, I think he was in the Navy band and Russell was in the Air Force band, or I might have those two backwards. But yeah,
Okay,
all three of you were in military bands at the same time.
at the same time, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, he mentioned that. And I was
Well,
like, oh, that's so cool.
yeah, we were probably all in the same area too, outside of DC, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
What was that? And I'm obviously musically, I'm sure playing consistently like that had to have been an amazing thing, but just discipline wise, those soft skills that carry you through your career about preparation and things like that. What was that experience in the military like for you?
Well, it didn't seem like it was that much fun at the time
Yeah.
because we were, like there was other work available, and I wanted to get on with my life, but the Vietnam was on, and if you were eligible, you'd get drafted, and I would have been drafted. So my last year of school, I auditioned for different bands and got accepted to the Army Field Band. And looking back, it was great duty. And I met some really good musicians. And after I was in for 3 years, and after my first year, they had started a studio band, and I started playing in that, and they had their own arrangers, and so we were reading new charts every day, and yeah, it was a great. It helped my playing, helped my reading, and then it helps your attitude in getting through these situations that you really wish you weren't a part of, but you have to deal with things in life that you don't want to deal with, and was a good way to get through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And who knows, man? I mean, you getting that gig in the band, it could have saved your life. You never know,
Yeah,
right?
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, that's incredible. So I started out as a drummer and percussionist, studied percussion, and eventually moved on to play other instruments. But I had some amazing teachers along the way that I still say things that I learned from them when I was a teenager, and I would love to hear your experience. I mean, because you studied with Bill and Stanley Street, right? And then with John Beck. I mean, some of the most important percussion teachers ever. And I would love to know just what that was like. And
Well, I studied with Stanley Street, and his brother Bill Street was the professor of percussion at Eastman School of Music,
mhm.
and also he was, for a long time, I think he was the timpanist in the Rochester Orchestra, and Stanley was the percussionist in the orchestra. So two famous brothers, great players. And I studied with Stanley when I was a little kid, and he was like a great gentleman, um, great musician. He loved playing music. He loved his family. I ended up meeting his son. He had a little son, and spending time with his family at. They had a place at Canandaigua Lake. So he was not only a great teacher, but he was like a mentor in that he was a nice man to be around. You know what I mean? I like the way he
Yeah.
treated his family, and I like the way he treated me and people in general. He was a teacher in more ways, and not just musically, but just in terms of being a good person. And then Stanley had a stroke and couldn't teach anymore. And so eventually John Beck came to Rochester when he got out of the Marine Band, and he came and he took over the timpani chair in the Rochester Orchestra, and also took over the preparatory department at Eastman School of Music. And Bill Street was the professor of percussion at Eastman School. So John took over as the timpani player in the orchestra. Bill was still teaching at Eastman, all the Eastman School people, and then when Bill retired, John Beck became the professor of percussion at Eastman, and I continued to study with John. So and he helped me. I wasn't able to get in Eastman School of Music from high school because of academically, my grades weren't good enough. So I went to Manhattan School of Music for a couple of years. I got accepted there, and got my grades up. And then after 2 years, I transferred back to Eastman, and and stayed with John as my teacher. Bill was still teaching at Eastman. He was still the professor of percussion at Eastman, but I stayed with John, and then eventually John took over after Bill retired. So I never really studied with Bill, but I studied with John, who I consider my teacher today, even, you know.
Yeah. I've talked with so many wonderful drummers on here who have had great timpanists as teachers along the way. And I think that there's something important about that, and that whether directly or indirectly, learning the concept of tone production from timpani has translated so well to make such musical drum set players.
Yeah, I never thought about that, but yeah, that's a good analogy, because like timpanists have to it's like the drums are different pitches, and they have to blend in with what's going on in the orchestra, not only as a percussive thing, but with different tonalities. And so yeah, that's a whole other that's a different way of having to play, where you're having to tune the thing and having to blend in with the orchestra um, in a way where you have a tonality. So if you're not together, it really sticks out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or if you're not in tune, it really sticks out. So
yeah.
yeah, I never thought about that, but yeah, timpanists musically, cover a lot of ground.
Cover a lot of ground, and just that concept of striking the drum versus hitting the drum, and really producing a round sound. I do think I think there's so much value there, and up and coming drum set players, spend some time behind those instruments, because if you learn to get a good sound on that, there are pieces of it I do think that will translate well over to the drum set.
I agree. I never thought about that like that before, but yeah, And guys that play timpani, the ones that I've met that are there's guys that started as kids on timpani, so they grew with the instrument, and which I think is important for people that play that instrument that involves tuning. So you get a chance to know from the tension of the heads where the pitch is, in general. When you start young, that helps.
Yeah.
If you start older, it's like you don't have that muscle memory,
Yeah.
and it's a lot more. It's a lot more difficult instrument to start later on.
I
Um,
completely agree. Yeah, I agree.
and so, well, I mean, when I was in school, I had to play timpani and mallets, but I always my comfort zone was always on snare drum, or the kit,
Hmm.
and so and timpani was a whole other ball game, man. That's not an easy chair to play.
No, it's not. And there's so much responsibility on your shoulders. I mean, in essence, the timpani chair is kind of like the drum set, the kit chair in a commercial band. It's there's so much responsibility sitting on your shoulders, and you're kind of even though there's a conductor there, you're kind of driving the bus a little bit too.
Yeah, and I never really I played mallets and timpani enough to know how challenging those those chairs are to fill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'd want to be able to play those instruments with the comfort that I have playing a set of drums or a snare drum, and it's like I never got there with those instruments. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just
Yeah. When you started it, when you went to Manhattan and then ultimately to Eastman, did you have a career path in mind when you first started there? What were you thinking you were going to do music wise as a career?
I don't know. I just if I could support myself playing music, that was my goal. And then when I got out of Eastman, I had to make a decision on how many plates I was going to try and keep spinning in terms of if I was going to try and keep timpani, at a level where I could work doing it, or mallets and or a kit. And I went with where I felt the most natural connection, and which was with the kit.
Yeah.
And because that's what I had the most fun doing. That's where I felt the most confident. And so it was easy to spend time doing that because it was work, but it was enjoyable too, man.
Do you see those ants dancing on a blade of grass? Do you know what I know? That's you and me, baby, yes it is. We're so small and the world's so vast. We found each other down in the grass. Won't you lie down with me right here? September grass. Won't you lie down in this September grass? Oh, darling. Lie down, 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 lie down. Won't you lie down, lie down in this September ground? Lie down, baby, won't you lie down, lie down in this September ground? Oh, down, you lie down, lie down, you lie down. Oh,
I remember learning the John Beck Timpani Sonata back in the day, which I believe it's dedicated to you. Uh,
Oh, in the
and
pocket.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I remember learning that back in the day and thinking, well, that they obviously had a pretty tight relationship for him to dedicate that to Steve. It's pretty
I
cool.
just talked to John the other day. I mean, we stay in touch.
Oh, that's so cool. That's
He's
amazing.
he's my teacher, and it's great to hear his voice when I do talk to him.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to study with my son did as well. My son was a percussionist as well, and we studied with a drummer, a percussionist in Atlanta named Jack Bell, and a lot like John Beck. I mean, you can trace the lineage of all of these drummers and percussionists still working. Like he taught Sonny Emery back in the day, and all these people, and the same thing with John Beck. I mean, there will be generations of percussionists long after we're gone that are still being taught things that were taught by John 50 years ago,
Yeah, they're great teachers and and good sources of inspiration, not only as musicians but as people.
Yeah.
And yeah, excellent gentlemen.
Yeah. I think some of the best teachers, instructors I've ever had, and it sounds like it was similar with you, that they were as concerned about developing me as a human being as they were developing me as a percussionist or as a musician.
Well, I mean, in hindsight, yeah, you know what I mean. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was a young kid, and you go through different kinds of emotional situations growing up, either with your grades in school or trouble that you may have gotten into that as a kid, and John was the type of I could talk to him about all of that stuff,
Yeah.
and or my hesitation about going from high school to college, you know what I mean? Because like I said, academically, I wasn't a great. I had a hard time learning that way, and but he always was encouraging and made me gave me confidence to do things that I may have not done if he wasn't around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, he
Yeah.
encouraged me to do it, and I was glad I did.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Do you spend much time these days or at all looking back at your career very much, or are you typically I do it and then I move forward?
That's pretty much what I do.
Yeah. And I
Typically,
I hear a lot of players that a lot of people that's kind of the way they operate is to I do it and keep moving forward.
yeah. Well, I mean, and plus the fact that I've been lucky to have to have work, and I like I like to be in the project. You know what I mean? Um, I don't like to have my phone on. I like to just be into whatever it is that I'm doing at that time. Put everything into that, and then go on to the next thing. Because I'm not really great at multitasking. Um,
I think
and
multitasking is a myth anyway. I agree with you. I don't think anyone can divide their mental fortitude in multiple directions and do any of them very well. I'm right there with you on that. I agree.
and the one thing that the only thing that I've done, and that I decided that the drums, snare drum, and the traps and stuff like that were the things that I was most adept at. And I just put all my time into whatever it was that I could do good and get better at, because there were all the other things I wasn't good at. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't a hard decision to make, because I went where I felt the most comfortable and had the most confidence. And I didn't realize at the time why I picked those things, but looking back, I know now that was I just did the thing that I was most comfortable at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I have a friend who plays guitar, and he said, "I play guitar for a living because I don't know how to do anything else."
yeah,
That's what.
that's the way I feel about drumming. You know what I mean? I don't really know how to do anything else. But you can take things that you learn musically, on your instrument or in playing with people, and apply those kind of lessons to life, in terms of trying to be a good listener, you know, uh, trying to, you know, lock in, come to an agreement on the bandstand and lock in with, to be supportive of everybody around
Yeah.
you. Those are, I think those are skills that you can apply to life in general.
Oh, I completely agree with you. I was literally just having this conversation with someone earlier today, just about those soft skills that we learn when we're learning to be musicians, and just what you're saying, the idea of like learning how to collaborate with people and knowing when the best thing you can say in a moment is nothing, whether that behind the instrument or in the control room or on the bus or wherever. Being a team player is, you know, part of the probably is important for the longevity of a career than anyone's playing ability.
Yeah, that's the truth. I mean, your attitude is a big part of it. Your desire to give the people that hired you what they're looking for. And I mean, and sometimes what they're looking for, so I might think that it should be different, but in the long run, you give them what they want. And sometimes I end up learning that something I thought was not going to work ends up working better than what I thought. So we can all learn from those situations. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. Did you
And
ever have any moments where you stood your ground on something in a maybe on a session or something like, yeah, I think this is what we need to do here.
there are times when you can do that and it makes sense, and there's other times where it's just not nearly close enough to that to making that decision. So it's like it would be a waste of time to try, and it just wasn't the right time to do it. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
sometimes it's the right time to do it, and sometimes it's not the right time.
Yeah.
So if it's not the right time, it might be the right time a little bit later to say, you know what I mean? You have to pick and choose when you're going to say these things, because it's about communicating.
Yeah.
It's not about necessarily being right. It's just about being able to communicate what you're trying to, what your thought is musically, and at least have someone take the time to consider it.
Yeah.
Not everyone can consider those different things. Different people that write music are more attached to their song than others, and you know what I mean. It's like,
Yeah.
well, it's a process.
Yeah.
You know?
It absolutely
And,
is.
so it just takes a while to get there.
Yeah. One of the things I've always, I guess, assumed just in listening and watching you play is that you always seem to be so in control of your facility, of your technique, the musicality, your preparation, your reading, whatever it may be. Do you, along the way, struggle with the same thing that most musicians struggle with insecurity, imposter syndrome, things like that? Do those things creep into your mind?
Yeah, sure they do. And the thing about the thing about all of it is, if you do it a lot, you get better at it.
Yeah.
And the thing with reading is, if I don't read all the time, it just you can't be as sharp at it as I can't be as sharp at it now as I was when I got out of the army and I was reading every day.
Sure.
Or when I was living in New York and I was getting calls that involved reading charts all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get away from when I got out of the city. I mean, I kept working, but the work was different. It wasn't like last minute things. It was more, like a tour being planned ahead of time. And so there wasn't a lot of as much sight reading involved. And I know when I try to read now, it's not as the same as it was when I got out of the Army, and I've been reading all the time. And that's just a fact.
Yeah.
So you can only, and that getting good at that comes with repetition.
Yeah. There are no shortcuts to it. You just have to do it.
Not to sight reading. And so I can't sight read charts every day. I practice the rudiments on a table, and I come up with new things creatively that help me technically and musically on a table. And then when I go get behind the kit and start to play gigs again, I can start trying to incorporate some of those other things,
Yeah.
And if I'm working a lot and I'm sitting behind the drums a lot, then, I have time in between takes to sort of try different things, And so I just try to take advantage of the situations that I'm in a way where I can be positive about it and not think, well, man, I can't, this chart is difficult because I haven't read anything in 30 years. I can only do the best I can. You know what I mean? It's like,
Sure.
but those things play tricks on your mind, man.
Oh, they absolutely can.
Everybody does. They for everybody.
Yeah. I recently heard that the only people that don't suffer from imposter syndrome are the imposters, and that's
Are people going to finally realize what a crazy person I am? You know what I mean? It's like, we all have those kind of feelings.
Yeah, and it's like, and it could be that, you don't feel as prepared as you'd like to, or it's a new situation, or you're, working with new people, but your mind can really play tricks on you and can put you in a defensive way.
You just said it. Your mind's playing tricks on you.
Yeah.
All of those things that are taking up space in your head, that's energy that could be used in a different way if you just change the way you were thinking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, just as you just said earlier about, not multitasking with having your phone and this, I suppose we should try more to not mentally multitask and like get that garbage out of our head and just be free in that moment, right?
Well, that's the thing. It's all energy used in different ways that could be used in a more positive way if you're distracted or getting down on yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I still recall when I first held your tiny hand. My ride, show me my ride. I love you more than I can tell, but now it's stopping time. Sure, he's a jolly Roger until he answers for his crime. Yes, I'll match him win for win now.
Do you consider the way you play or the way you approach playing similar or different between playing on the stage versus playing in the studio? Do you find that you kind of mentally show up and do the same thing and the level of energy, or are they two very different things for you?
Yeah, I think they're two different things. They used to be more similar, I guess, when the dates you were doing were live,
Mm-hmm.
live band. But the fact that a lot of this stuff is overdubs now, it's in the studio, you have certain things that you've got to try to lock in with. And then on stage, it's a whole other ball game about what you want and the monitor and what you need to hear to play what I need to play for the music. So and you're dealing with the sound of the hall playing live, and and dealing with a sound guy out in front that could, if they turn a knob the wrong way, it can make your life to try to play music very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, there's these mental mountains that you've got to, cross along the way. Different set of challenges for each situation.
Yeah.
The thing that's similar is the way we try to meet those challenges. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you have to try and do it. You can't do it the same way for live as you do in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different ball game, and but I enjoy both. I'm glad I can keep the two separate.
Yeah. And I would imagine that, one sparks the other, and that you getting to play, there's a lot of value in getting to play with people looking back at you and responding positively to the way you play. I mean, that emotionally fills your tank. No matter how many gigs you've played, it feels good to feel that from an audience.
Yeah, it does. It does feel good to feel that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reason why I keep doing it, is because of that shared energy with the guys on the bandstand and with the audience. Especially, I mean, when there's no ego involved, and it's just about sharing those healing energies. That's very powerful.
Absolutely. I was just thinking about you preparing and getting ready to go play some dates with Paul Simon later this year. And I was curious about when you play songs with an artist that you first played. Golly, I can't even remember. I'm trying to think how many years ago that would have been. Over 50 years ago. Through experience and life experience and perspective. And do you find that you're approaching that material differently than you may have done back then? Do you feel like do you play those songs in a deeper level maybe, or do you just play them the same way you always have?
No, I mean, the thing that I do that's the same is I try to play in a way that makes Paul feel as comfortable as he can.
Mm-hmm.
So like a lot of on this last tour that I did with Paul for the 7 Psalms and stuff.
Yeah.
The playing is a lot lighter. I'm using, I got things over the heads to dampen them, because we're playing a lot quieter. And it's different from the way we used to do it, but it works. It's great musically for where we're all at, age-wise and physically. Paul's dealing with some hearing issues, so we've got to be careful about the level on stage. And I've been thinking for a while now that stuff is getting too loud anyway.
Oh, I agree. The subs and everything, yeah, it's nuts.
It's just too much, and I, for the past few years, I've been trying to just combat that thing with the house where I'm trying to get guys, don't turn it up. I want it to come from here for the kind of music that I'm playing now. I mean, I'm not talking about for like loud rock and roll. That's a whole other ball game. But for music that's got a good dynamic range, you can't just put it loud in the house, and because if I'm playing soft and it's loud out there, it's like it's affecting. That's not what I'm going for.
Right. Yeah. You're playing with dynamics, and the front of house should reflect that, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. I mean, for certain shows it works. If you got kids dancing, and you got like rear screens showing stuff, that's one thing. But if it's just like you know dynamic music that doesn't have to be at level 10 the whole time,
Yeah.
that's you got to be able to start the show at a different level and let it grow, not from the house, but from the stage.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. I completely agree. Yeah, I've noticed that it's just gotten louder and louder in indoor, outdoor, medium-sized venues. It's just is loud. Yeah.
If you play, sometimes I'll go on the road with a band and we'll play a hall that's an acoustic hall. And the people that are doing sound automatically go in and put all their shit up. And the bottom line is, man, you shouldn't, in a room like that, you don't need to amplify everything like that. I mean, it's like the drum sounds so loud acoustically that I need help. Don't make it louder.
Right.
Help me be able to play comfortably.
Yeah, absolutely.
By maybe not putting it in the PA.
Yeah.
You
Well,
don't.
And it makes you there's probably parts of it you may start playing a little bit defensively too, because you're fighting that and you're not being able to relax and play creatively like you want.
You can't. It's just you can't play musically.
Yeah.
It's like you go from playing music to going up there and doing a performance.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
and it's not fun. You know what I mean? It's not fun because it's not music.
Yeah.
It's like trying to duplicate what you did yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, and playing in a 3,000 seat venue versus a 15,000 seat venue is two very, very different things.
Different things, and like I said, for certain kinds of music, it's going to be that way. It's going to be out there, and that from the beginning. But if it's the kind of music where dynamically it starts at another level, and you can get that level to feel good, and then build it from there. Those are nights that are really more enjoyable for me musically, because not only does the music feel better, but you feel more connected to the band and to the audience.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And there is nothing that can take me out of playing faster than fighting with sound issues. Oh, it just drives me bonkers.
Yeah, it's distracting.
Yeah.
It's distracting. It involves, sometimes you lose trust in the people because you ask questions and they say they haven't touched anything.
Yeah.
I know. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah. I didn't start doing this yesterday. I know. Yeah. I'm assuming you still use wedges, right? You've never done in-ears, right?
I have for certain things, but I don't like them.
Yeah, I don't either. I like air moving from the stage. I like some stage volume. Not a ton of stage volume, but enough that I feel like I'm actually playing with people around me,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. I prefer the wedges and and trying to blend with them with what I'm doing, not only in the monitors but in the house too. If you can hear a little bit of the house,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a trip, man, playing music.
It is. It's amazing that it just makes me so happy that after this incredible career that you're still having, that you're still you're staying busy, you're recording, you're playing live, you're playing all over the world, man. That just makes me so happy.
I mean, I can't imagine not playing. But although traveling doesn't get any easier, it becomes more and more of a nightmare.
Yeah.
But if you can get there and play some music, it's worth it.
Yeah. I was just talking with Simon about that after we stopped recording. I asked him about, have you guys talked about doing any shows in the US? And he was explaining to me just about how next to impossible it is for them to get work visas and how expensive it is to come to the US to
Crazy,
play.
For anybody that does work internationally, it's a nightmare today. The problems that are being created with Denmark. I'm going on tour with two guys from Denmark who I've been working with for 10 years. And now they're talking about now they're fighting with our country's fighting with them. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
For anybody that has to do any kind of traveling internationally, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
And we've tried to be goodwill ambassadors, and because that's a good way to learn from people from all over. You know what I mean? Musically, sharing ideas musically from people all over the world.
Yeah.
And they just make it hard. They're making it harder and harder for people to leave the U.S. and go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really unfortunate, and I hate that it's difficult for you to be able to go and play somewhere else, and also these incredible musicians like Simon to be able to come to the U.S. and let people like me go and sit in a room and thank him for his talents and for sharing his music with me, you know?
Right, exactly. It's affecting the flow.
Yeah.
So I guess we just got to keep our own flow going, and then when times get better again, be able to continue to share the flow.
That's it, man. Music is, not to sound cliche about it, but music is the one language and one thing I believe all of us can find some middle ground on. And in these days, I'm thankful that we still have that, and hopefully we'll be able to share it more together down the road. So, well, Steve, I just want to thank you for, first of all, just sharing some time with me today. I have had so much fun just hanging out and chatting with you. This has been a lot of fun.
So where are you, did you say?
I'm in St. Louis.
Oh, right. And you got a lot of snow?
Ton of snow, man. Yeah, a lot of
Is
snow.
Is it still snowing?
No, it thankfully it's only snowed over the weekend. So but we still have lots of it. Our little French bulldog's not too happy about going outside and using the bathroom.
How old is it? A she?
A she, yeah. She's about 18 months old. She's a sweetheart. Little Lola.
Wow. We used to have two French bulldogs.
Oh,
they
have a lot of personality, man.
Oh, they're little comedians.
They are. Yeah.
And
I'll send you a picture of her. Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
I'd love to see a picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, man, thanks for this. And just best of luck this year. And just on behalf of everyone that listens to this and all, everyone, I just thank you for just sharing your gifts with us, man. You've been the soundtrack of my life, and that really means a lot to me. I want you to know that. So thank you for that.
Well, you mean a lot to me, so thanks for listening, man. I appreciate it.
And best of luck, and I'll see you soon.
I hope so.
If you enjoyed this conversation, please follow or subscribe to the Bandwidth Tapes wherever you listen, and consider leaving a rating or review. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.